So welcome to today's session. It is on the LIFT project and the topic is Your Limbo is Listening. And today's session is all about you. And what a great time to run this session because we know that leading up to Christmas and the holiday time is a busy time for anyone working in the care sector. So this session is all about you and how to fill your cup in a really busy time. So we hope you enjoy today's session. Before we get started, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, which we're all meeting on today, and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. Yes, so the LIFT project. So the LIFT project is a health and wellbeing project developed by Dr. Darren Morten. Okay, it's all about lifting your mood and lifting your life. Okay, so it's about how we can fill our cup so that we can give more, I guess, to the people that we care for, whether that's at work or in our home lives as well. Darren Morten is, I'll tell you a little bit about him in a minute. I'll swip over to this slide. So the LIFT project is just a positive way to approach our mental health. It's a lifestyle-based program that is based on evidence-based practice. So it's based on science-based strategies in the areas of neuroscience, lifestyle medicine, and positive psychology. Kathy and I have both done this 10-week program, and the reason that we love it, it's not just a warm and fuzzy program. It's a program that actually gives you evidence-based tools that you can implement every day really, really easily, that really does do wonders for your own well-being, okay? Now, the program is a 10-week program. Today, we are going to show you session 1. We're very lucky that Darren is letting us share this with you. And different topics are discussed every week. Today's session is called Your Limbo is Listening. And this program has been used all over the world by different organisations, not just by people working in health or aged care or the care sector, but lots of different organisations to help lift up the lives of people, employees, people working for organisations. So a little bit about Darren. He's an internationally recognised wellbeing expert. He has a few books out. You can go and have a look, search him up and see his books. He's the Director of Lifestyle Medicine at the Health Institute at Avondale University in New South Wales. He's got 4 books, like I said, and he's been published in, I think it's about over 70 different scientific and medical journals. So enough talking from me. We are going to now show you the LIFT project. Now, this video is called Your Limbo is Listening, and like I said, is session 1 of the project. I'm going to share my screen so you can see it. Enjoy these 15 minutes. We're going to come back and talk about it together. You guys all see that? Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. Let's play it.
Today, we are facing a wellbeing crisis. Rates of depression and anxiety are escalating worldwide, and it's impacting us all, either personally or through those we care about. But there is light in the darkness. My name is Dr. Darren Morten, and for as long as I can remember, I've been fascinated by the how and why of wellbeing. I've been conducting research, finding evidence-based approaches, even experimenting on myself and my own family at times to find out how to help people to live healthier and happier lives. And some of my most important and interesting research came from a single question that I've spent over 30 years answering. What does the science say about our ability to take charge of our health and our happiness? This has led me to dive deep into research from the fields of neuroscience, lifestyle medicine, and positive psychology, which is showing that despite our life circumstances and genetics, which determines about half of our happiness, we get to choose the other half through our daily choices. So I invite you to join me on an educational adventure where we'll talk with renowned experts, we'll conduct fun experiments and discover simple but science-based strategies that can powerfully lift your mood and your life. And I'll share with you not just what these strategies are, but also how and why they work. Our journey begins by looking inside our brain. Let me introduce you to a fascinating part of your brain that's responsible for how you feel. It's called your limbic system, and it's located right in the centre here of your brain. It sits just below the thing that looks like a cauliflower called the neocortex, which I like to refer to as the leader. Now, the limbic system contains several structures with complicated names, like the amygdala and the hippocampus. But because I'm an Aussie and we give nicknames to everything, I sometimes refer to it as the limbo. You're about to discover that the limbic region of your brain is an incredibly important part of you, and you want it to be in great working order, and I'm going to show you how. The fascinating functions of the limbic system were first discovered by brain researchers in the 1950s who conducted experiments on cats. Now, I am by no means endorsing these animal experiments, but what they discovered is that by stimulating different parts of the cat's limbic system using electrical current, they could evoke a mood shift in the cat. It was hissing 1 minute, but then purring the next. Through this experiment, the researchers discovered that the limbic system is the region of the brain responsible for feelings and emotions. That's its main function. In fact, scientists today refer to it as the emotional brain. Our brains are not unlike that of cats. They're a little larger in most cases, but we too have a limbo. And just like cats, our limbic system is the part of brain that determines how we feel: glad, mad, sad, or bad. And because of this, you want to stimulate your limbic system in the right way. And I'm going to show you how to do that. But first, there is something else you need to know about your limbo. Not only is your limbo your emotional brain, mood is its main function, it's also involved in 3 other important functions as well. And these functions are always linked back to its primary function, which is feeling or emotion. So here they are. Number 1, memory. Do you need help with your memory at times? Well, when there is incoming information to our brain, it's your limbo that decides what gets filed and what gets forgotten. And it makes that decision on the basis of how it feels. If there are strong emotions attached to it, you tend to file it. If there are not strong feelings, you tend to forget it. This is why we remember the name of that childhood sweetheart, but we forget where we put our keys. So if you want to improve your memory, you need to take care of your limbo.
Yes.
Number 2 is motivation. Now, raise your hand if you struggle with motivation at times. Okay, raise your hand if you couldn't be bothered raising your hand just then. You see, your limbo, your emotional brain, determines your drives. And just like memory, this is why our motivation is so closely tied to how we feel. For many years, I've been helping people adopt healthier lifestyles, and I'm constantly reminded of the fact that we are motivated or demotivated, as the case may be, by feelings. Just ask someone who said they were going to start to eat healthier why they are devouring a burger and fries the size of their head, and they will likely say, I feel like it. On the same token, ask someone who said they were going to start exercising more while they're sitting on the sofa, and they will likely say, because I don't feel like it. You see, feelings drive our behaviour. When we don't feel, we're unmotivated. When we do feel, we're highly motivated. In fact, the word emotion quite literally means to move.
The old-fashioned way to make behavior changes was to kind of scare ourselves. Boy, if I, don't eat my veggies, I might get cancer someday. I might not live long enough to achieve some major goals, like seeing my grandchildren graduate from high school. And over the years, as we've learned more about positive psychology and the power of positive emotions as a driver of those health behaviors, we're looking for that positive experience. and paying attention to that positive experience and try to remember that positive experience, then at a later time, we're going to be driven to go back to doing that behavior, that healthy behavior, because we're naturally driven to want more positive experiences.
So to recap, your limbic system is involved in motivation, memory, but the third thing is many automatic bodily functions. You know, what fascinates me about the limbic system is its impact on our bodies. A friend of mine told me that he was recently driving along a little faster than he should have been when a police car with a party light on top and a man with a party hat indicated that he needed to pull over to the side of the road because he had a present for him. Well, instantly his emotions were high, and concurrently he could feel the emotion in his body. His heart rate quickened and pounded in his chest. His palms began to sweat. His stomach lurched. Why? Well, because your limbo, your emotional brain, is also in control of many automatic bodily processes. But here is something especially interesting. One of the automatic bodily processes your limbic system is involved with is immune function, as found in this fascinating study conducted by researchers from the University of Ohio. The researchers invited a number of married couples to a clinical laboratory, and they did it on 2 occasions. On the first visit, a blister was administered to the forearms of the couple, and then they were taken into a counselling session. On the first occasion, the researchers created a positive experience for the couple, and then they monitored how long the blisters took to heal. When the couples returned a second time, the same procedure was followed, except this time the clinicians picked a fight between the couple. Remarkably, the researchers found that the blisters healed faster following the positive counselling session as compared to the negative one. In fact, 30% faster. I remember one time after sharing this study with an audience, a man stood up and said, "That's it. I'm not arguing with my wife anymore. From now on, I'll just calmly explain why I'm right." I'm not sure how that's working for him. Well, in another study, wounds inflicted on the hard palate of dental students, that's the roof of their mouth, took 40% longer to heal during the stressful lead up to exams as compared to the low stress summer vacation period. So the takeaway message is this: how you feel affects how you heal. Given that our limbic system influences our immune function, it's not surprising that studies have shown that our emotional disposition affects how long we live. In fact, there are some really interesting studies that have demonstrated this. In 2001, researchers from the University of Kentucky published a fascinating paper on the longevity of nuns. The researchers uncovered the autobiographies written by 180 nuns when they first entered the convent in the 1930s. Then they analysed the tone of the writings, whether they were upbeat and optimistic or a bit downcast and pessimistic, just to see if it influenced how long they lived. Now, what the researchers discovered was that less than 20% of the least happy nuns, as indicated by their writings, were still alive at the age of 93. But get this, over half of the happiest nuns were still alive. In another study, researchers from Wayne State University took 230 Major League Baseball cards from 1952, and then they rated the players' smile intensity on the card. Then they looked up the death records to see if their smile score correlated with how long they lived. Now, remarkably, the players who pulled the cheesiest grins lived on average 7 years longer than those that didn't smile at all. I mean, 7 years for smiling in a photo. I think that's worth it. There are many other studies that have linked being in a good place emotionally to living longer. But perhaps even more attractive is being in a good place can not only add years to your life, it adds life to your years. I mean, you think about it. The quality of your life is largely determined by the quality of your emotions. And that's why we all want to be happy. You know, it leads to a better quality of life. And I would love that for you. So how can you put your limbo in a better place? And in the process, lift your mood, memory, motivation, and those automatic bodily processes as well that are also critical to our health. Now, let me start by acknowledging that no one can be a 10 out of 10 on the feel-good scale all the time. As wise Solomon said, there is a time for everything. There's a time to laugh and there's a time to cry. We all experience low moments and that's okay. It's even appropriate at times. But what is interesting is that studies suggest that despite our life circumstances, there are things that we can do to live more. Well, it's here that I start to get excited, because just like the cats that were made friendly or ferocious simply by stimulating their limbo in the appropriate way, you too can push the buttons and stimulate your limbic system for better or for worse. And in doing so, you can influence the way that you feel. Now, you can do this by learning how your limbo is hardwired. You see, your limbo is connected to and receives messages from other parts of your brain and your body. And follow the logic here. If you know what those sources of input are, you can purposefully and intentionally use them to send your limbo the right kind of messages. And in so doing, have a positive influence on how you feel. Okay, so without further ado, let's look at one of the sources of input to your limbic system. Located in your higher brain, that I call the leader, are two areas that work together to form speech and language. And leading from these areas are nerves that connect to the limbic system. Now, what this means is that your limbo is listening. Your limbo is like a 2-year-old child, at least in terms of its ability to think and reason. But thinking and reasoning, well, that's not its job. As we've discovered, each job involves controlling mood, memory, motivation, and those many automatic bodily processes. But because it's like a 2-year-old child, it is highly impressionable. And it's constantly looking up to its guardian, the leader, for guidance to know how it should make you feel. Now, this is one of the sources of input to your limbo. Now, you've probably heard the speak positive thing before, and perhaps you just thought it was pop psychology. But now you can see that there is substance to it, as your brain is literally wired that way. Your limbo is literally wired to be influenced by language. So let me show you how I use this knowledge to give my limbo a pep talk just before I launch my hang glider. Okay, I'm just going through my pre-flights. Left wing looks good. Right wing looks good. Checked all the bolts, they're all done up. I am hooked in. My carabiner is done up. Parachute packed, ready to go. Conditions look very good. This is going to be a fun flight. Now, you might think that I'm speaking to someone else, but in fact, I am talking to myself. And in just a moment, I'm about to launch this oversized kite off a 1,000-foot cliff. And I want to be calm, I want to be relaxed, and self-talk makes a huge difference towards helping me achieve that. So do you speak to yourself? Well, if so, that's completely normal. Do you speak back to yourself? So you might want to get that one checked out. You know, the point is that how we speak to ourselves affects the way that we feel. And it doesn't even matter if the words don't make it out our mouth. Even our internal dialogue still involves the language area of your leader churning over and sending messages to your limbo. What do you say to yourself when no one else but your limbo is listening? Does it lift it up or does it tear it down? And not only does your limbo listen into how you speak to yourself, it also tunes in to others, as explained by family life expert Dr Trafford Fisher. Traff, I'm particularly interested in the work of a world-renowned researcher by the name of Professor John Gottman, who I know you're very well acquainted with. And some of the research he conducted looking at the longevity of marriages, you know, whether couples would stay together or not. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
He's one amazing guy, fascinating guy. Short, funny, but sharp. And he set up a love lab, it sounds strange. It was a unit in Seattle, looking out over the harbour. He invited couples to stay in this unit for a while, and he had 3 cameras on them from 9 in the morning to 9 at night. He had sweat measures on them. He even set up a gigalometer because he wanted to measure how much the chair moved. And his sole purpose, he said, was to try and discover why some marriages dive and some thrive. And a little book he wrote called 7 Principles for Making a Marriage Work, he said, based on these interviews and just hours and hours and hours of videos watching these couples in the unit, just preparing meals, talking, chatting together, how they responded to each other. And he discovered one key principle, Darren, and that was, well, among other things, the key thing that came through was that there's a 5-to-1 principle.
I'm interested in this. All right,
Yeah.
keep going.
So where he said couples who focus on the positives about each other and share those, who say nice things about each other, who compliment each other, who affirm each other, they know they've got to do 5 of those to every negative.
Wow.
So when they say something negative and they put their partner down, or they say something horrible, I'm aware of that, they need 5 to offset that. You know, when you know that, it really highlights, hey, I've got to focus on this. I need to pick up at least 5 different things where I let my partner know you're special, you're important to me, I love you, I cherish you.
Yes.
You know, and finding 5 ways of doing that, it's incredible.
While there's some debate about the exact ratio, it seems that roughly 5 or more positive speech acts are required for every 1 negative one in order for individuals, marriages, families, and even businesses to flourish. And if the ratio falls below about 3-to-1, there's often impending doom.
So the positivity ratio is very helpful in that it does make us aware that we're, as humans, going to naturally experience throughout the day some negative emotions, some positive emotions. There's no way to go throughout life with only positive emotions, and nor do we want that. There's, again, a benefit to acknowledging and paying attention to our negative emotions. But we are built in such a way that we pay attention to those negative emotions so they have a stickiness. It's not so easy just to roll off and move on. You know, it takes a bit of practice. So the way we can counter that is by intentionally adding some positive experiences and positive emotions to counter it. But because positive emotions are not as sticky, we need more of them.
And so to conclude, we've learnt that your limbic system is the part of your brain responsible for emotions, as well as memory, motivation, and many automatic bodily processes. Now that's a big deal. So you want to get your limbo in a great state. And it's wired to the language area of your thinking brain, the leader. And so one way to give your limbo a lift is to speak positively, both to yourself and to others. Remember, your limbo is listening. Here are some ways to put the learnings from this lesson into practice. Try offering genuine compliments and memorising an inspirational quote or saying. It's challenge by choice, but the more you put in, the more you'll get out. And also, to learn more about this topic, check out the read and or listen section on the lesson page, where I dive deeper into the content and provide the references.
There you go, guys. Your limbo is listening. I'm just going to get back to our presentation. Share this again. I would love to hear what you thought of that. So if you can pop any comments in the chat of what you thought about your limbo is listening, it'd be great to hear your thoughts. So we have a challenge for you, and especially in the lead up to Christmas, and it builds on what Darren was saying. And the challenge is lifting your limbo by giving compliments. So a daily challenge to give a compliment a day, a genuine compliment. And some different ways that you can do that might be noticing and congratulating the success of someone, identifying a particular special person in your life who you value and telling them why you value them, giving a complete stranger a compliment or letting them know that you appreciate what you do. It might be that barista who gives you that coffee every morning to get you going, yeah, or someone else that you're not that connected to. Might be identifying skills or talents of other people in your team and bringing it to their attention. Or it might be, giving someone a shout out in public, lifting everyone's limbo, your limbo, their limbo, and the team who's listening. I'm seeing some comments come through in the chat. Good reminder of the power of positivity. It is indeed. So that was the first topic of the LIFT project. There are 10 topics. So the program goes for 10 different weeks and touches on 10 different areas. Okay. And they're 20-minute videos facilitated with a chat afterwards and some action to put those things into place. And you're right, Kath, how good does a compliment feel? Feels pretty good. It feels good giving one and receiving one. The LIFT project is relevant for absolutely everyone and anyone, not just people in the care sector, but, you know, we think it's really important for the people in the care sector. Pouring from your cups every single day, whether it's for your clients, your residents, your patients, or your teams. And, you know, on top of that, also pouring from your cup in your home life. It's important that we make time to refill our own cup, to keep ourselves well and to, you know, really optimize what we give to others as well. So now is time for questions. So if you want to raise your hand or take yourself off mute, feel free to go ahead. We've got 4 minutes until the end of our 30-minute session. So if you've got any questions, shout out. Or if you had any comments just on that video and maybe one thing that you've taken away from it, it'd be great to hear. How do you access the other modules, Rhonda? Yeah, I can tell you a bit about that. So if you're interested in accessing the LIFT project for yourself or for your organisation, you can jump onto their website directly and have a little bit more of a look so you can see what the 10 modules are about. Or you can send us an email and we can discuss how the LIFT project might work in your organisation. Like I said, it's a 10-module, 30-minute kind of program, 20-minute videos and a 10-minute discussion. And the participants, so yourself or your team members, get access to a portal where you can go back and watch any of the videos and share them with others. I think it's for 12 months and the portal is amazing. So the video that you watched today, there's also one made for kids on the same topic. So, you know, if you were part of the project, you could go and show the similar video to your kids at home or, you know, to your partner at home. Yeah, so it's a 12-month access program. So if you're interested, just reach out or jump on this website and have a little bit more of a look. No worries, Rhonda. Now, as always, we love your feedback. We are busy planning what our topics for our next Lunch and Learn will be next year. So we would love for you to take seriously like 1 minute to complete our survey. We will send also a link in the email that we send out today that has the survey as well. It just really asks what you thought about today's session and if you've got any ideas on other sessions that you would like next year. Because, yeah, we do want to really make sure that we're meeting your interest and that we're providing topics that are relevant for you or your teams. So please let us know your thoughts. And we would just really like to wish you guys a Merry Christmas. Have a great festive season. Thank you so much for all your support over this year. We love coming along and seeing so many faces attending these sessions and having some great discussion. So thank you so much for filling our cups. And yes, please remember to look after yourselves these holidays. You know, it's a time of year that it's fun, but it can be exhausting. So please look after yourself and stay in touch as well. And we'll see you next year. Thank you, Jenny. Thanks, everyone. Now,
thanks, everyone.
Catherine, I'm going to stop the recording. If you had questions that you wanted to ask